So welcome back to the channel. I hope you watched the last video. The video I did before this, I described two different broad approaches to developing your creative career. All right, I talked about either being a specialist or being a generalist. And all I did in that video, like I said, was just to lay all the cards on the table, talk about them and consider all the things. Maybe in the course of the video, you might have been able to identify some things that were relatable as your own career has been developing. And maybe it resonated with you because you have been having it at the back of your mind, trying to decide whether to be a specialist or a generalist. Like I said, I was going to do another video, and this is the video where I just talk about how to make up your mind about whether to be a generalist or a specialist or both. So if you haven't already subscribed, this is a good time to click that subscribe button. Let's get into the video. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about five major things that I think are important for you to consider. Now, the first one is your passions and your interests. If you're deeply passionate about a particular type of work, you absolutely love wedding photography, you love documentary photography, you love people, and you love capturing portraits of people, or you're fascinated by document design, presentations. If you're specifically, or you have a very clear focus about what it is you love, then you should make a decision to be a specialist, because specializing for you can provide long-term satisfaction. But if you enjoy variety, if you're like me, you can find creative energy to pour into different things. You're curious enough, you're adventurous enough, and you're ready to have those sleepless nights and put in the sweat, then you decide to be a generalist, because that will get your creative juices flowing. The second thing to consider is, what is the market demand in your area? If you're in the university campus, for example, and you find that people are looking more to having their portraits taken or passport photographs, or you're in a corporate environment, people are more interested in headshots, then rather than go into something else, you might just want to focus on what is available or what is in demand in your particular area at that particular time. That's not to say you could not change or switch it up later in the future. So take some time to look at your environment, analyze the market, see the market segment that you have easy access to or you have an inroad into. If you have a big family, for instance, and you have a lot of family connections and you have a lot of age mates that are getting married, you might decide to just focus on wedding photography, because you know that those deals are going to be coming quick and fast. And especially if you enjoy it, then you might decide to specialize. So consider whether there is a high demand for your niche or whether the market is saturated. In smaller markets, being a generalist might be more advantageous, but in larger, more competitive markets where there's a lot of competition, narrowing down into one thing might be better for you, and therefore specializing could make you more attractive to potential clients. So because there's so many people doing photography, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that, if you just narrow down and say, I'm a portrait specialist, or I only shoot documentaries, or I do this type of graphic design, that might be better in a market that is very saturated and very competitive. But in a small market where there is not much going on, there are not too many people offering those services, you can do everything. So if you find yourself like in a rural community, or maybe not say rural, but yeah, rural, or a secluded community like an estate or something where you don't have so many photographers, you could decide to do a little bit of everything, because people are going to have various needs, right? And then you'll be there to meet those needs. Now, the other thing to consider is that, what are your long-term goals? Do you want to become a household name, build a legacy, make your mark, leave a big footprint in a particular type of creative endeavor? Maybe you want to be known as an educator, a teacher. So you may decide to just go into the teaching and educational aspect of things. But if you don't have those kind of goals, you're not really concerned about the name, the legacy, the impacts, or that kind of branding. You just want to have a business that keeps generating funds, then you might decide that you want to be a generalist. If your long-term goal is to have the flexibility of working in different type of environments and different type of endeavors, then you might be better staying on the path of being a generalist. Now, the fourth thing to think about is, what is your personal work style? How do you usually like to work? Some people just like that deep focus. They like to go deep into a particular type of work. They enjoy the thrill of really being absorbed in a particular specialization. So if that is you, then you're a specialist and you need to just stick with being a specialist. If you thrive in dynamic and ever-changing environments, you like challenges, you get excited by just doing something new, then maybe you should just make the decision to be a generalist. So your personality, your work style, your temperament, those things are very important in making up your mind about what you want to do, either become a specialist or a generalist. Now, the fifth and last thing is your business model. You have business goals, right? And you're doing this commercially. If setting up a creative agency that attends to a large variety of clients, corporate clients, you know, maybe you want to be doing a little bit of everything because you're a creative communication agency or something like that, then of course being a generalist is better for you, and you have to become a jack of all trades. But if you're a solo entrepreneur, you don't have those large goals of setting up an agency. It's just going to be like a 1 or 2 man business for the long term, and you maybe a family business. You just want it to be something small and manageable, then maybe specializing is better for you because you're able to narrow down and focus and build something big over the long term. And so all your creative energy and all your resources are channeled into 1 or 2 clear-cut directions. You're not spreading yourself too thin because it's just you. You're a solo entrepreneur. So in that case, you might just decide that, you know what, you're just going to remain a specialist. I changed the angle of this particular final part because I wanted you guys to see my new artwork that I designed on Canva. I printed it on Canva, and it came in, I would say, maybe 28 to 48 hours, because it was just like yesterday or day before yesterday that I designed this and I sent it to the printer. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. Bottom line is that you want to get something printed real quick. I did this on Canva and it just came out and I like it. The concluding part of this video, I'm just going to say that, how about if you're thinking of this question, what if I do both? What if I take on both approaches? I specialize and I also generalize. So it's like a hybrid approach. And yes, that's very possible. And to an extent, I would say that has also been what I've done. Because like I said, when I started, I first specialized in wedding photography. And then I was offering all these other things like, you know, pre-wedding shoots, birthday portraits here and there. And then later I left wedding photography and I went strictly into portraiture. But while I was doing portraiture, you know, customers are your customers, and then they will come to you and say, oh, thanks for the birthday portrait, but my sister is getting married next week. Could you do our wedding photography? And rather than refer them elsewhere, you do it yourself. So you could have a hybrid approach. So you could specialize in one core area and then offer the other services as complementary. You know, I know some of my colleagues who they do portraiture events, weddings, but they also do graphic design. They help you to design like wedding invites and wedding programs and so on and so forth. That's graphic design. So you could have a core service and offer other services as complementary, just to expand your reach. This is business sense. You're trying to build a customer base, you're trying to expand your reach, and you're trying to create loyalty among your customers. You don't want to be sending them elsewhere. So we're now going to business talk. You see, as a businessman, as a shrewd businessman, you want to think about combining two. This applies even if you don't own a business, like a commercial business where people come to you. You could just be a consultant, a creative consultant, or a creative professional offering freelance services. You could specialize in one area, right? And your portfolio will show that this is your core area of expertise. But somewhere in the mix, maybe on your website, on your business card, or in your conversations, you could also offer other complementary services. So if, for example, you work more in strategic communication and you help to do documents and reports and all that, somebody may need to have those documents designed and you could decide to offer it. So this approach allows for flexibility while still positioning you as a trusted expert in a specific area. So you're offering a balance between the depth of specialization and the diversity of generalization. So ultimately, whether you choose to generalize or specialize, it really depends on your personal preferences. It depends on your career goals, depends on your market opportunities. Both paths offer distinct challenges, distinct advantages, like we said in the previous video. So if you haven't watched the previous video, here it is. The link is up there. Watch it and see where I presented all the cards on the table, the pros and the cons of being a specialist or a generalist. So both paths have their advantages and they both have their disadvantages. And many successful creatives navigate a mix of both paths. So sometimes they are specialists, sometimes they're generalists, sometimes they just stick to one or the other, and sometimes they offer a hybrid of both. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if these two videos have been helpful. The part one is a video that I did before this one. Check it out on the channel. And this is the second video where I try to wrap it up by giving you some final thoughts on the two options, the two approaches to developing your creative career. The whole purpose of this channel, again, like I said, is to help you develop your creative potential, because I'm on that journey myself, trying to be more, trying to do more, trying to have more as a creative. And I'm sharing my thoughts, my knowledge, my experiences with you. That's all I'm doing on this channel. Please, if you like today's content, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. Do help me out here. Drop a comment, share, and as I usually say, see you in the next video.